Hello, everyone. Is the Prophet Michael David, aka Aries, and today we're gonna go over my tragic origin story, aka how I came to be proclaiming myself a prophet on YouTube. Real quick, this is a synopsis. I'm just repeating other things I've said on other videos, but this is for people that haven't watched all of my other videos, which is the vast majority of you. So here we go. On February 7th, 2018, my parents, David Wayne Harrison and Cheryl Ann Harrison, were both killed in a very bad car accident. They got hit head on by a drunk driver, and their car flipped into the ditch, caught on fire, and exploded, just like in the movies. That was exactly 6 years ago to this day, hence the video. As their eldest child, the vast majority, 99.999% of all the dead parent work fell upon me, and I did not take it well. We buried them relatively soon after they died, but a few months later, I hit rock bottom, and um, as I've detailed before, I had a short conversation with my dead father, and I made a choice to which I've honored this day. Otherwise, we would not be having this conversation. It's funny how rock bottom works, and anybody who's been there can attest to this, but a lot of the times you hit it and you just sink farther into the abyss, and rock bottom just gets lower and lower. But, sometimes if you do things right, you can hit it like a racquetball and bounce up real high, real fast. And that's what I did. Like I said in my story, I promised my father told me, Michael, you were sliding into the abyss, sinking into the abyss, and you know it. Adapt and survive or perish. So that's what I did. In 10 months after I had worked at it and fasted and worked out and did all my other stuff, I had almost completed all my dead parents' problems, and I was 70 pounds lighter for it. I felt wonderful. I felt transformed. So I properly mourned my parents for an entire year, and we'll talk about properly mourning in the future. But shortly thereafter, when I came out of mourning, it was probably a month or whatever, but I met a woman named Angie at the pub that I frequented a lot, and we started dating. And I won't tell you her last name, but just as my two given names are Michael David, and their ancient Hebrew meaning are "Who is supreme as God?" question mark My beloved period. Her two given names were Angelia Regina, and Angelia obviously means angel or angelic. Regina means feminine, regent, sovereign. Her the meaning of her name is angelic queen. Okay, number one, just right off the bat, I guess she was the best girlfriend I ever had. Being a nomad, I haven't had all that many girlfriends over the years, but she was definitely the best one I ever had. So we dated for a few months, but then COVID came and changed everything, including all your lives as well. And so she was about the only person that I saw for 6 months, and we dated for about another 6 months, and then we finally broke up. The breakup really isn't important. Maybe someday I'll talk about it, maybe not. But the important part was or is that up until this point, like, I'm not a prophet at all. All I am is a God fear terrified uh, believer in God, I guess you would say. And that's because, as I've stated before, growing up, I was probably atheist or agnostic my entire life, not because I was bad or evil or anything, just because religion wasn't a huge part of my family. Did a lot of sports and stuff on the weekends, but not a whole lot of, going to church and everything. And so I really had not a whole lot of uses for God. But when my parents died, I instantly became a God fearing believer because I needed somebody to blame for my parents' death. To be, you can't be an atheist and blame God for your parents' death. That's illogical, as I've stated before. And even more so, I thought God had you know, I had like a death mark on myself as well, which persisted all the way through even COVID and after Angie and I broke up. So through this entire point, I'm just a God fearing, God angry person. And so then February 27th, 2021 rolled around. And even though Angie and I were broken up, we were still friends and we still hung out and everything. And so I remember that night, I stayed over at her house and woke up the next day, February 28th, 2021, which would have been my parents' 42nd anniversary, although I didn't realize that at the time. And I just remember being super angry. And I remember Angie looking at me, and she knew me very well. And she said, "You're angry. Are you angry at me?" And I said, "Oh, no, of course not." And then she asked what I was angry at. And all I could think of to say was, I don't know, I'm like angry at the entire world. And then, as I've spoken before, Raphael's horn video and some other ones, that was the first day of my 36 days, February 28th, 2021, which would have been my parents' 42nd anniversary. And, a few days later, chosen by God, I am God, I am Allah, I'm Yahweh, not Hashem, because I didn't know that at the time. You shall be my prophet. And I agreed instantly. And as I said before, why? Because I lived in a shitty COVID world, the same one that you guys lived in. I was on the outs with my girl, like, could be aliens, could be a tumor, could be God. I just wanted to know. And yeah, and then I went through my 36 days. And again, I've told you about it on the other videos. And instant after midnight on April 5th, I was reborn as Aries, second soul in my body. Even though I did not think of him at that time. Again, I've detailed this all in other videos. So then, as we all came out of COVID, I did interact more with other people. I wanted to, with mask and everything, and social distancing, including Angie, mostly with her and everything. But most of the time, I was still to myself because I was a newly minted prophet of God, a mathematical prophet. But I was ever trying to find the secret of the primes and solve the Riemann hypothesis, because that's how I was going to prove I was a prophet and everything. And that lasted all the way through 2021 into 2022 for reasons I will not detail right now. Angie and I kind of were on the outs for a while and did not talk for about 3 months, from November, December, January. Okay, so December, January, February. And 2022 was the year that the Bengals made it to the Super Bowl against the Rams. And there was also a Liverpool game. And I swear I was going to call her up on Saturday to see if she wanted to watch the Liverpool game and then watch the championship game after that. But she died. So Angie died February 11th, 2022, which was exactly 4 years and 4 days after my parents died in the year that I turned 44. And it was right before I was about to go into my 36 days again. And Yeah. I took it better than my parents, but I was still really, really angry. One of the reasons I was angry, and kind of still to this day, was I was invited to her funeral or to her service. I really don't know why. I can speculate. Um, and while I've been talked to a few people about how she died, they didn't really know. They kind of assured me that it wasn't suicide, but it was some pre-existing condition that she just died. I'm not quite sure how. She was older than me. She was both the oldest girlfriend that I ever had and the one most older than me. She was, I think, 10, 11, or 11 and 12 years, depending on the calendar. I'm not quite sure which one. But yeah, I loved her. We made a really good team and everything. I don't know if that contributed. I know she had, I'm not trying to talk out of school, but when I stayed there in her medicine cabinet, she did have some bottles of pills up there in the counter. But I'm an honest man. I've never been a snooper, so I didn't look at them, and I have no idea about what any pre-existing conditions that she had. Um, all I know is, like my parents, she died suddenly, and yeah, it sucks when that happens. All right, now the inevitable question for, I guess, some of you. Did God kill my parents and Angie, to make me a prophet? No, God doesn't do that stuff. God doesn't kill people. People kill people. You know, there are some natural disasters and everything, but, she's the prime mover and she gives us all free will. Most all deaths in human history have been from other humans. So it's difficult to blame God for that, if not impossible. If not, people do it all the time. In other words, God didn't kill my parents or Angie. I just live in a universe where they got killed. And a lot of those universes, I don't even meet Angie. And like I said, we're not having this conversation either and everything. But in some universes, including this one, we are. In a lot of universes, I'm not a prophet, but in a lot of universes where I survived my rock bottom moment, I am. That's just how the universe works. This is the best way I can describe it to you right now. In conclusion, um, as far as end times goes, you guys don't need another smooth talking prophet with a book preaching to you upon a mountaintop. You need a tortured soul nerd with a plan, which is exactly what I am. All right, signing off. As always, rule number one, do not touch each other without another person's consent, aka do not hurt each other. And rule number two, it's all about honesty. Lies are a tick down, um, aka try not to lie. All right. I love you all. I'll talk to you later.